Welcome to Trauma and Transcendence, where healing meets awakening. I'm Amanda M. Dodd, your guide on this transformative journey. Thank you for joining me on this episode. Let's transcend together. Hello, soulful seekers. Welcome back to Trauma and Transcendence. I've got a wonderful guest for you today. We've been doing this a lot lately, but you're going to really enjoy this one. Before we begin tonight, as you're hearing this, I will already be in the salt cave, and we're doing a healing hypnosis meditation tonight. It is Dolores Cannon inspired, and I call it the Temple of Colors and Light. So if you've ever heard Dolores Cannon's book, Between Life and Death, I believe it's called, or Between Death and Life, she referenced a healing temple that we actually have access to, and that is what this meditation is all about. I will guide everyone in the Soul Cave to their place of healing to do some really beautiful, deep work. And then that'll be it for a little while because, as you know, the holidays are coming up. July is not going to have a whole lot of action for me. On the Friday, I do have mediumship development. If you've been curious about working with your guides, I will do a little bit of speaking about different kinds of guides, methods of connection, and then do a beautiful meditation so that you have instant connection and know how to practice moving forward. You can find that on my website under events or on Facebook. And after that is Chakra Harmony. That is coming up on July 11th. And then I've only got one other meditation for the month because, as you're about to hear a whole bunch, I'm going to be presenting at HypnoThoughts Live in Vegas. It is the biggest hypnosis conference of the year. And if you come and see me, I will be doing a quick just little presentation on working with loved ones in spirit and how, as a hypnotist, you can have that facilitated opportunity for your client. A lot of healing can be done, and we can mend relationships even after they've ended here on Earth. So it's got a lot of healing potential, and I'm going to give you the ins and outs and the challenges that you may face and how to work around them. So we'll talk more about Vegas in a little while because I'm going to have some more guests who are also speaking at Vegas come on the podcast for you. And then while I'm away, we'll see about possibly doing a couple of episodes for you on surrender as one topic I want to dive into. So that's what's going to be coming up. But for today, you can see the beautiful human in front of me today. I have Monica Ramirez, the warrior of love, and she's here today to share with us her experiences with shadow work and working with higher consciousness. Welcome, Monica.
Thank you so much, Amanda. And it is beautiful, the sharings that you have.
Thank you. It's been a couple of years in the making. As you know, we're ever evolving. I keep thinking back to when I met you in McAllen, Texas, and we met because you were doing meditations every Thursday. It's wild to think how much we've each evolved as practitioners. Yeah.
Yes, it is the constant growing and moving forward and pushing through.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like that's really an important focus in my life, absolutely. And I know that it is for you too, and for many of the listeners here as well. And I find those people who don't grow are the people that then have really severe life situations that's kind of pushing them out of their comfort zone. So we can either do it proactively or we could be pushed out the door before we feel ready. So today you wanted to talk about shadow work and higher consciousness. But before we dive in, tell us a little bit more about you.
Well, I am a certified life coach, certified NLP, and also I am BQH, that is basically hypnosis. I'm also certified belief coach and self-care. I am an Akashic Records and I am a Galactic Akashic Records reader and Master Reiki. I am a published writer and I'm a public speaker, spoke in Harvard and UCLA. And I am an artist for more than 40 years now. And my passion it is basically to help people to believe in themselves. I mean, I was doing that, working in that area, and without knowing, with artists in that time when I had my art gallery. I did not knew that I was working already in the belief system until I got sick with lupus, RA, fibromyalgia, and so forth, and I was needing to heal myself. And going into that process, that's when I start getting all the certifications and learning how I can heal myself, and to actually I did it. I haven't had a flare up in 10 years now. And the people that knew me then when I was sick and they saw me after I was doing fine, they asked me how you did it. So I created a program that is called Path to the Heart, that is a transformational system. That the first level already is out, as in Amazon. You can find it, Transformation in Metamorphosis. And I've been working with groups and with one-on-one since then.
Yeah. So that was kind of the catalyst. That was like the spiritual initiation that put you through the door, was having that diagnosis and needing to overcome.
Yes.
Wow. That's some heavy shadow work right there.
Yes, it was. There's everybody tried to skip that part. And just let me explain first what is shadow work, because just the name, people get scared with the name shadow work, like, oh, it's something spooky. It is as spooky as the closet you have in the closet.
Yeah, that's right.
Because it is about working with your fears, with your shame, with your blame, the victim mentality. It is starting to empowering yourself and learning how to love yourself. That's what is shadow work. And everybody has traumas. I have not met one human being in this planet, in this earth, that do not have a trauma, because just the birth, being born, it is traumatic. So that's just that one. Forget about the rest of the traumas that we all pass through. And we try to hide and push those down because they're painful or scary. That's why it's called shadow work. But it is not, because we observe them and we just continue pushing them down. They're going to continue showing and showing and showing until actually we do the work.
Right. I loved that metaphor you gave about it being no different than the clothes in the closet, because if you just keep stuffing things in the closet, eventually you go to open those doors and it all falls down on you.
Yes. Yes. And that's when you have the dark night of the soul. That the name
Yeah.
again is scary. I don't name those things to start.
Yeah.
But the dark night of the soul is when everything comes out from the closet into you, and it's like, okay, now what do I do? This is what I'm supposed to be doing, and you start questioning yourself. Like, I'm so depressed, or I'm so angry, and I feel blocked, and so forth. And that's when you have to work with those skeletons that you put in the closet.
Right.
One way or the other, life is going to take you there, or the universe, whatever you want to call it. But one way, you cannot stuff it forever.
Mm-hmm. I have a favorite teacher called Robert Ohado, and he calls it Dark Night of the Ego. And I love that because it's true. And that's how you discern it from, oh, am I just having a growth phase? Am I just going through depression? You'll know if it's a dark night of the soul or a dark night of the ego, because it feels like you literally can't move forward, that nothing is working. And in that moment, you're in a battle of resistance. And what we resist will persist. And so my way through the dark night of the ego, the several times that I went through it, it was always through surrender, which is actually the topic I want to bring to you guys this month. So the way to recognize it for me was, oh my goodness, nothing is working. I try this thing, nothing. I try that thing, nothing. And you know, because there comes with a level of exhaustion. And that's because you're pushing too hard to make something happen that's no longer a fit for you. And it really does feel like the ego is dying. And that is the only part of us that does die. So it has very real fears and anxieties around it.
And the good thing about it is when we come out of that stage in our life, because it can last weeks, days, or
Years.
years.
Mm.
And it is not happen only once. Unfortunately, it happens several times. But because every time we come out a very different human being, that we were, because now we have a bigger understanding. Now our conscience got expanded. We have new gifts, new things. We're a different human being when we come out.
I
And
think for a lot of people, that's when they recognize that they're having a spiritual awakening, as they hit that first dark night of the soul and they can't figure out what's wrong. And so, inevitably, like everything, when things are wrong, that's when people turn to spirituality. They don't turn to spirituality when everything's working or when they feel good. They come to spirituality because they haven't found any other answers anywhere else. At least
yes,
that's been my experience as well.
yes, because in a way, ascending or expanding our conscience, it comes with physical pain.
Mhm.
And let's put it like that: when I had lupus, RA, fibromyalgia, according to the doctors, I had it for 15 years. That's what it lasted, my dark night of the soul.
Mhm.
When I came out completely a different person. But
Yeah,
it lasted 15 years.
yeah.
More that you resist to it, more longer is going to stay all those emotions in there.
Mm. So, when someone is aware that they're going through a dark night of the soul, what might they be experiencing? What else might they see?
Well, they're going to be feeling it in their body. They're going to have depression. Many of the times they're going to have a grief because you're letting go the old you and you're still resisting to let go the old you. Not necessarily it is a person that left this plane that you're grieving. That can provoke that.
Yeah.
But not necessarily can be a person that you're grieving for. It is your old self, like you said, the ego.
Mhm.
That because the ego is not that you're gonna let it go and it's gonna disappear. Your ego is gonna be with you to the day you were born, to the day you die.
It's got a job to do.
Yes, but you're gonna start using the ego in a different way.
Mhm.
It is not to block yourself. You're gonna start using it as a
Mhm.
tool, and that is gonna be helping you. The ego do not like changes. The ego do not like. They like to control you and instigate to fear and so forth. But if you use the same ego, you're like, oh, that person triggered me.
Mhm.
So the problem is not the person that triggered you. The problem is that you got triggered. So
Mhm.
you have to do why you got triggered. Maybe it comes from a memory from the childhood. Maybe it comes from a classmate in kindergarten. Or maybe it can come from your parents or your grandparents or whoever it was. But if you don't dig in there, every time that you see a person with the same vibration or the same color or the same tone or the same whatever it is that is triggering you, you're gonna present this it again itself the same emotion
Yeah.
until you actually work with that issue. That's what we're talking about, the shadow work that is important to do. And more in if we do it regularly, we go in less dark night of the souls. But if we don't, all the skeletons are gonna fall down from the closet on top of you. That's not a nice sensation. We know that, right?
Yeah, and then you feel stuck, and you're like, you get to that point where you're like, I can't go forward, I can't go back. Something has to change. That's what it was for me. Was that something has to change? I was knee deep in caregiving and emotional rescuing. And so what happened for me with my dark night of the soul was I hit a pocket of resistance of, oh, I no longer have the resources to engage in these behaviors. And so it just couldn't go forward. I literally I tried to remove myself thinking that would be the solution. No. That didn't work either. Spirit was like, nice try. No, you need to be within this family unit, but you have to function within it differently.
And the thing is, we are gonna attract. If we
Mm,
had, I come from a narcissist family.
mm,
So what happened in a narcissist family? The first thing they're gonna show you is not to believe in yourself and not to love yourself. They are more important, and so on. So when you grow older, what are you gonna attract? People that are gonna validate exactly what you lacked when you were a kid. So you're gonna look for people that are gonna be reminding you that you're worthless, you don't have any value, that you are useful, they can use you and throw you and chew you and throw you away. So I've been married 4 times. My marriage, my ex-husbands are the ones that have been my teachers in a way of that, because every time that you got to the point that is like, okay, I cannot deal with this, so you have to make some inner changes, and many people go through that. In the old times, yes, our grandmothers probably stayed with our grandfathers when they even hated each other, because that's how society norms goes. In the new times, it's like we know we don't. But no one was responsible then. Everybody can treat anybody however they wanted, and that was fine because that is the society norms to go with that. But now we know we don't have to put with that. But there is that fear that if I leave him, what I'm gonna do? If I don't leave him, what is gonna happen? Like in my third marriage, I was getting beat up. And I was so scared to actually get out of that relationship, because he told me, who is going to want a woman with divorced 3 times with 3 kids? Who wants that? And of course, those fears come creeping up because also they're linked to your childhood. So it takes a lot of courage to get out of a situation of where you're getting beaten and you're getting mistreated in that way, abused in that way. And many women stay there. And many women, they're not even here right now because they're already dead because of those kind of situations. And to those, I am the ones I would like to speak right now, that they don't have to do it alone, because in that moment you feel alone. And you feel that that's it, what they told you, the perpetuator, let's put it like this, it is true. And it is not true unless you wanted to believe it is true.
So for me, something I was aware of is I didn't even know what an ego was when this happened. And so for me, it was part of distinguishing, oh, I have this thing called an ego, but there's also more. There's also that part of me that knows it's eternal, that part of me that wants more and sees other possibilities. And I think when we move out of the ego, that's when the world opens up, and then we're able to make those other choices. We're able to see outside of the box that we've been living in. So when I think about women and even men, I've met a lot of men in that situation with a borderline personality disordered wife or a narcissistic wife, and they may have had a narcissist mom as well. You see them repeating that same pattern on the other side. And I find it's the dark night of the soul that begins to show them, oh, this is just one facet of what you are. There's a whole bunch more, and you've been living in this tiny little box. Do you want to come out? Is it uncomfortable in there yet?
And if we go to epigenetics, we've been carrying the
Yeah.
same issues by generations, and it's the same. Your great great grandfather was alcoholic.
Mm.
The possibilities that you are alcoholic are big. Are you aware of that every time you have a drink? Why you cannot stop?
Mm.
And maybe it's not even for your, this isn't you. It is because you're carrying your great great grandfather.
Yeah.
That probably your father also was, and probably you are, because and you saw it like that's normal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's when you realize, like, oh my gosh, this is not normal. I need to do a change on me, because or else my kids are gonna have that same issue. And we just have to start it to right now, change it with me. So
Mm-hmm.
my future generations, they are not carrying what my great great grandfather did. And that goes in beliefs, and that's about money issues. That is about everything that you think you are, or your own limitations. First ask yourself, this is mine, or this is coming from my great 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 grandfather or grandmother, whatever it comes from. So like that, you can change that. And those closets, get one skeleton at a time. Don't get them all at the same time, because it
It's
is
traumatic too.
cruel.
Healing can be traumatic as well. We don't often talk about that, but
But you
that
know
is
what?
a presentation that I'm going to be doing coming up, and it's called Spiritual Healing Crisis. Because if we do too much at once, the psyche just can't manage all of that alchemy, all of that energy, all of that transformation. It's a lot. So, yeah, one skeleton at a time for sure.
But
And if someone's, how do they recognize their skeletons? How do they begin to say, oh, I'm seeing this happen?
one of the things, commenting what you said before I answer the other one,
Yeah.
is one of my teachers one tell me is like the process of healing, it is gonna be as painful as you want. And I'm like, how
Mm,
do you mean? Yes, because sometimes we want to continue being with the victim. It is easier.
yeah.
People have compassion for you. It's like, oh, pobrecito, poor of you. That's why everybody's like, oh, yes, poor
Yeah.
you. And you continue with that pattern. It can be too forever. I know 90-year-old people that die feeling
Mhm.
sorry for themselves, and they were
Yeah.
not responsible for anything they did.
Mm.
So, how do you recognize that? First of all, your ego is the best tool for this because your ego is going to trigger you. It's going to poke you. It's going to tell you, okay, if this is bothering you, and it will fill you more with that thing. It's like,
Mhm.
oh, you should be angry because they look at you bad, or they're talking to you in this way, or so and so. And it's someone that you just met. And this is obviously not the person that you just met. But what that resembles to something that you live in your past, what is triggering you so much?
Mhm.
That is what is going to make the real difference in there, because you're going to realize that it can come from a past relationship, it can come from your childhood, it can come from someone co-worker or whatever it is. So when you recognize in there that why it is triggering you so much and making you angry, sad, any of those emotions, or the lower conscious emotions, that's when you can start making your work. That is not easy, that you don't have to do it anymore alone, because we used to hide it
Yeah.
or doing that and do try to do that work alone, but we never progress.
Yeah.
So that's why thank God that now there's a lot of coaches, healers, that they can support you in this. It is not like going with a psychologist for 20 years.
Right.
We don't want a client for 20 years. I don't even know how the psychologists want a client for 20 years. But well, we prefer to have the things done faster.
Yeah.
Any of the coaches or healers that are now,
Mm.
right?
So, what I heard is we recognize it through pain. And so, when they reach that pain point, what do you recommend they move forward with then?
Well, let's say if you were, like in the case I was talking, that I was raised by a family of narcissists. First of all, is recognizing, okay, yes, my mother was a narcissist. Yes, this happened to me. Okay, but this happened for me, not
Mhm.
to me. That's one a big
Mm.
difference. Why?
Yeah.
Because I was needing to learn how to love myself. What are the lessons from there? I was needing to learn how to love myself. I was needing to believe in who I am, what I want. Actually, I have to fight for it. I am not a victim in this situation. How I'm gonna be in confronting the life and my own fears that they come from my mother, that don't come from me, and those fears that she was instigating to me when I was little. It was because the things that she was in fear of, they're not even mine. They were hers. But I can see it because I am analyzing them. It might be painful because it's like, but we don't supposed to judge parents. Yes, you're not judging them, but you're how they affect you. That's the judgment that you're doing. However they live their lives, it is the problem. They were happy, sad, miserable, angry. That's their issue. We cannot change anyone. We only can change ourselves. So that's where we have to do the inner work and recognizing what we have done wrong,
Yeah.
what we have said, what we have done to others. Because or else we are going to continue repeating the same story over and over to other people and other people and other people. And this is going to be eternal because you want to continue being the victim. And the only way you can empower yourself is saying, you know what? Yes, I did say this. I did do this. Yes, I am responsible of those thoughts. I am responsible of all these actions. And that taking that responsibility
Yeah.
takes a lot
I
and a lot
really
of
feel
maturity.
I really feel like that's why having a coach, having a guide, having someone to work with is so helpful because it takes a level of self-reflection and self-honesty that we're not used to doing. And also not going into a place of like self-gaslighting either, where I see a lot of clients who they still carry on that behavior in a different way. And it's like, no, we don't need to do that. But having a second set of eyes, someone who is neutral, who's walked this path before, like Monica, they can give you that perspective when you're only seeing it from a tiny point of view. They can help you start to ask those questions of what would this be doing for you if it was your friend? What would it be teaching you? So
Well,
those deep questions.
we tend to gaslight ourselves a lot.
Yeah.
And that's even if you're a coach, even if you're that's one of the reasons why a tarot reader cannot read the tarot themselves. Because we are gonna just put in the cards whatever it make us feel good. I know what it really is. Because we all have blind spots.
Yeah.
And in those blind spots someone can observe them. Hey, you're repeating this, you're doing this.
Mhm.
You're following the same pattern over and over. When you don't have money, you react in this way and you do these things every time. And maybe we don't saw it because it was too painful to see it. So in
Yeah.
the moment someone market to you that it can be a coach, it can be a healer that is gonna be helping you with that. Just I would recommend always to look for coaches and healers that they have those certifications, they have that instruction, because or else they're just gonna project themselves into you. And that happens a lot in our community. Anyone decided like, oh, I don't have nothing to do today. What am I gonna do with my life? I'm gonna become coach. And they just start coaching.
Yeah.
And but they don't have any kind of instruction, so they don't know what they're doing.
Mhm.
So instead of getting rid of these traumas, you're gonna have more traumas.
Yeah.
So that is not gonna be very helpful. So look for the credentials, look for the training, because that is important because at least they're not gonna be projecting their own fears, their own ego into you.
Mhm.
That is important that we have to separate. This is mine, and that's my clients, that's them. That's why it's important for even all the coaches and healers to do shadow work.
Mhm. Yeah. I've learned through a lot of spiritual teachers in shadow, but we don't have to learn through shadow. We can learn through light, through reflection, through authenticity and good communication. We don't have to take the harder one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So, what can people expect on their journey as they begin to work through some of their shadow?
Well, when they start, they're gonna have a lot of aha moments, like, oh my God, I get it. Now I know why I'm repeating this. Now I know every time I get this pattern, and you're gonna recognize it. Because something that I teach a lot it is to become the observer. And that's one of the best tools that every single human being can have when they become the observers, because they're gonna realize immediately, oh, this is making me feel uncomfortable. Why is making me feel uncomfortable? Or I'm hearing the nagging voice of my ego telling me, "Oh, you're worthless. You don't have any value. No one loves you," and so on and so. But you're aware, or the observer, you're gonna realize that voice is not even you. Why are you even gonna put attention to it?
Yeah.
But if you're not the observer, that voice is gonna go in, and you're gonna start believing what that voice is telling you. But at the same time, there's another voice that is your higher self trying to pull you up. Like, hey, you can, this is just gonna pass. This is you're stronger than this. And that voice is pulling you up. Which of the two voices you're gonna put attention? And if you're the observer, you can do that easy. So this is something that it should be already the norm. Like everybody knows how to work with their hands in this point in life.
Yeah.
But the majority, let's put it like that.
It would
If
be much too complicated to control us if we were all that level of self aware and empowered.
I believe one day we're gonna get there.
Yeah.
As human race, we're growing. We're the next evolution of the human being is at least have that tool on that it is become the observer. Everybody
Yeah.
can do it. Like everybody has a higher self,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
the higher self is trying to guide us and tell us and so forth, but we just push it down. We only listen to the ego because that's the louder voice.
Or an inner child part that's wounded, or an abandoned part, or a grieving part. Oh, yeah.
Because the ego, remember, is going to tell you, remember when you did this when
Yeah.
you were 5 years old? That's
And
why
this
you should
hurt.
not do it when you're 50.
Yeah.
And like, that was when I was 5 years old, but,
Yeah.
but you're aware that that nagging voice is from a memory, is your ego bringing a memory from your childhood. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, I don't have to listen to that. I'm not the same person. I am 50. I'm not five.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my reaction should be different. And look into your patterns at the same time because we all have more than one pattern.
Mhm.
Well, why you react when you get mad, just think about that. When you get mad, how do you react? How do you work with others or talk to others or to yourself? And you observe that. You can start the next time that you get mad, react different. Just
Mm.
do something different. You cannot expect doing the same thing over and over and over and have different results. But you become the observer, you can observe the patterns that you are repeating.
Yeah.
So like that you can change it and have a different result.
And like you said, from we're observing it from a place of non-judgment. It's not a guilt tripping or a self-shaming that we're doing. We're not self-berating. It's just, oh, wow, I really didn't like the way I responded. I didn't like the way that felt. What would feel better moving forward next time? And
Yes,
just bringing that to the light can make a huge difference. So you
yes.
mentioned having people access their higher consciousness and listen to that voice of higher self. What are the some of the ways that you'd recommend that they can begin to identify and tune in?
I teach that, and in fact, I'm going to have a class very, very soon that it
Yeah.
is about precisely. Well, I'm going to have a free 2 days is channeling your higher self. That it is the 14th and 15th of August, and it's a 2 day workshop. What I want to is they at least they experience what is the ego when it's talking to you, and what is the higher self. Because you might sense it, many people might sense it, but they ignore it when it's talking because again the ego is very, very loud,
Yeah.
and the higher self it is not that loud.
And it's
And
not as urgent, I find, either. It's more neutral, whereas the ego is very strongly attached. It's do this or die kind of feeling, like it comes with an urgency. Yeah.
yes, and it's like, okay, do I should turn right or left? And your higher self will say, well, where are you gonna go?
Mm.
What are you gonna achieve? And it's gonna ask you a bunch of questions to tell you to left to the right, and they gonna turn to the left. You have to go to the left, and that is the difference between the higher self and the ego.
Yeah.
And the ego is gonna be picking you. Use you to the left. Maybe you're gonna remember the or to the you turn to the right. Something is gonna take you to the same fears that you had when you were 10 years old. So you're gonna turn to the left because it's instigating fear. And your higher self it is gonna be very, very contrary. Like, well, there might be something that in there or in that place, if you go right now to the supermarket, it's like, I know you don't want to put shoes, but if you put shoes, maybe you're going to find something that you're really looking in there. It's not going to tell you what it is. It's not going to tell you, oh, you're going to meet a person or a fruit that you need to eat or whatever it is. But it is just going to create the curiosity enough in you to like, okay, you follow through and you don't gaslight yourself.
Mhm.
You're gonna put the shoes and you're gonna go to the supermarket and maybe there's a person, maybe it's a thing, maybe it's a food, maybe it's something that you need in there that is guiding you. But like Amanda said, it is becoming the observer, it is removing the judgment.
Mhm.
It's just like observing a sunset and just being there. It is not saying, oh, it's ugly or it's pretty, because even saying pretty is a judgment. So just observe. That's all.
That's when we leave space and opportunity for synchronicities and messages to arrive, because if we're not observing, you don't see those little things lining up for you.
Exactly.
Oh. So, who would benefit from your class that's coming up? How do we know if that's the right fit for you or not?
Well, in this class, at least they're gonna. It is fit for everybody because everybody has a higher self, like I mentioned earlier. Some people they're in the fear, like, oh my god, I'm gonna hear voices and things like that. That is a lot of the fear of many people when they start channeling.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god. But the thing is, they do not understand that they've been channeling all their life.
Mhm.
Everybody. There's except a minority percentage that they don't have the inner monologue. Those are that is a really small percentage in the human population.
Mm.
The majority of the population, we have that little cricket, let's put it like that, as a conscience that is telling us, oh, you should not do this. This is wrong, or this is right, or or I'm here just to support you. I know you're sad, but I'm here. You need me, and things like that. And we can feel that and hear that. Everybody have, or the artists. That's a muse. We call them muses. They inspire us. Or the scientists, they have their own muses. Mathematicians, etc., writers, etc., musicians, name it. Everybody has that. But it is a tool that no one knows how to use it. Because the first thing is you go and tell a doctor is like, oh, I'm hearing voices that are uplifting me and making me feel better. The first thing they're going to put you is in more medication.
If you're really unlucky, you might get an enlightened doctor. I think it's beginning to happen more and more.
Yeah, it
But
is.
it's kind of a gamble. You have to hope. Like,
Yes.
yeah.
But you learn how to use that tool in your benefit. Then you're going to be guided. We are born with a GPS integrated, and that's our higher self.
Yeah.
The thing is, you can have the GPS in your car and you never use it. Or you can turn it on and ask, where is the closest restaurant to my house? And that's what it is, the higher self. So everybody can benefit from it. And the ones that were coaches and healers, they're guided already. They're already hearing the higher self, but they still do not believe enough in themselves.
Mm.
So they gaslight themselves a lot.
Yeah.
And that's why this is a tool, because after this class that is free, that is just an experience, it's a journey, it's experimental experiment. This for they can experience this. Sorry for the word. I'm gonna be having the mastering channeling for 12 weeks. That is gonna be in also in August,
Yeah.
and that is they're gonna learn how to use protections and so like that. You wanna connect to higher realms and you wanna to connect to, I don't know, to ascended masters, you can, but you learn how he feels ascended masters as the difference as a that person.
Yeah.
The feeling is very, very different. So
Yeah.
you need to learn about protections and so forth. And you're gonna be learning also different types of channeling. That is from light language, trance channeling, creative, not creative writing, is automatic writing, and receiving communications.
That sounds amazing. Lots of skills, lots of abilities, and lots of opportunities for deep soulful work. So you may want to check that out. Where can people find that?
Yes. So they just, I'm gonna give you the links for that. So like that, everybody can have access at least the experience that is for free. So like that, they can connect to the higher selves. That
Mhm.
everybody already in the world should already have that connection
Yeah.
to the higher self, not only to the ego. Everybody has that connection, and they listen to the ego. How about if this time change? We listen to our higher self.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many gifts and graces that come through when we take that time to be in alignment and to actually trust.
Yes.
Okay. So, what else is coming up for you currently? What else are you working on or that you might want to share that could be of value for someone on their shadow work journey or working with higher self?
Well, like I mentioned at the beginning, I created Path to the Heart.
Yeah.
That is a transformational system. And the first level, that's also in my book, Transformation in Metamorphosis. We do a lot of shadow work. And it's learning how to release the fears. Because many people get stuck in the fears of moving forward in their life because of their own fears. So in the moment they start working and learning how to debunk the fears, because many of the fears are not even real. And the
Yeah.
moment they start questioning the fears, and I recommend this to everybody, question the fear. It's like you're afraid to go outside because it's dark. Let's put it like that. Well, how about if you set your goal and like, okay, I'm gonna go outside. Maybe the first time I go with someone, so I don't be so scared, but the second time I can do it by myself. So like that, you start losing the fear. Start debunking the fears. What is behind? It comes from my mother told me if I go outside at night, it was going to be scary. Where is this is coming from? I can remember one of the programs that my dad had a lot. It was if you walk barefoot in your house, you're going to catch a cold. And he accepted as true.
Yeah.
So every time he walked barefoot,
Yeah.
he catch a cold. I never listened to that program, so I always walk barefoot and nothing happened to me.
Yeah.
But how about, of course, you cannot convince someone that do not wants to be convinced or do not is not open. And he was never open. But I always question myself, how about if my dad just walked barefoot and without thinking that he was gonna get sick? And probably he wasn't. And that's one way to debunk it.
Yeah.
Removing the fear that this is gonna happen to you. Forget about it just for 5 minutes and just try it. Just try it. Go to those scary places inside and outside of you. Well, of course, with the limits that they are in there, of course.
But that's part of the program that you teach is teaching how to
Yes,
look at a thought and its validity and test, is it true? How true is it? What percentage? Yeah. What possible beliefs are there? Where do they come from?
yes. And everything that limit us, it is beliefs, shame, guilt, anger. Those goes with beliefs. Someone offend me. Okay, where that belief come from? Because it might not even be real that they try to offend you.
That's right. Yeah.
Always cut it in little pieces and observe each one of the pieces. And that's one way to start doing the shadow work.
Yeah. And so, what are some of the benefits of shadow work? What does it look like to come through and be on the other side?
Well, you're going to feel release. You're going to feel empowered because you're going to have your power back. The fears, you're going to realize, like, oh, I don't have to be afraid of this. It was ridiculous why I had that. So you're going to feel empowered. You're going to become free. You're going to be moving forward in whatever it is. You're going to start believing in yourself. You're going to realize that you can do whatever of your dreams you want it.
Yeah.
And you're not going to care about what other people think or not, because you're going to care what you think about yourself. That's what
Yeah.
the only thing is important. And those are big benefits that are going to make you grow and expand your conscious in ways that that's what the Ascender Masters started. In fact,
Yeah.
they were talking about Buddha or any Ascended Masters. They were doing shadow work. They were talking about Jesus. He went to the desert too, and in there he confronted the demon in there in the 40 days. He was doing shadow work.
And I think that's what it takes for mastery. For myself, at least that's what I noticed was there was a level of self-mastery, and it's really hard to trigger me. Like it's not easy, and I've had plenty of people try, but the more you do that work, the more you will find that people can't come along and rock your boat anymore. You just know your coordinates, and it feels good to be going in your direction without having that disrupted or to have things thrown off course. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not going to say that we're perfect, that we already ascended masters. Of course,
No,
we're not.
that would
The
defeat the purpose of
process,
being here. Yeah.
yes, the process is going to be you're going to find one, like clean an onion. Once that you peel an onion, you're going to find something underneath. And you continue taking the peels out of the onion, and you're going to find something underneath until you finally are going to find it all the onion peel, and you're going to get to the heart code who you truly are. Because we're beings of light, that we all come from the same source. And each one of us, we are reflections of each other. And that's where we are. Because there's an Amanda aspect of me with Amanda, and there's an aspect of Amanda with me that is reflecting her.
Yeah.
Until we don't see that unity, we're still divided and living in the duality.
So, for someone hearing this and they're learning about shadow work for the first time, they're learning about higher consciousness, is there anything you recommend they explore for themselves?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, they to observe what it triggered them,
Yeah.
to observe what is making them fear, to observe what is making them sad or angry or whatever it is, and question yourself why this is making me sad, angry, or just reactive. Question yourself in all those kind of things. Where this is coming from? Where this is a memory? Okay, where is this memory coming from? And search for help if you cannot work it yourself. There is a lot of coaches and healers that they can support you in this. If you can work it in yourself, hey, one of the best medicines that I have got for any of my clients is get a journal and journal everything and do not throw them away, because later on it is important that you observe how much you have grown, so like that it can continue moving forward. But it will be easy because it is not the same seeing the ladder going up than going the ladder seeing down. So like that will help you to continue going up. You see how much you have grown.
Mhm. That ability to self-witness in a positive way is something I find that we all lack, especially healers, even my mediums. When I train my mediums, I have them write down their wins. Great, you had a wonderful reading. Write this out, date this, because eventually you're going to have a day where you feel low and you're going to want to look back and be like, you know what? Just because this one reading didn't go well doesn't mean that there weren't many, many things that did. And so that ability to see ourselves and appreciate the good, not just look for the flaws or the things that we need to heal or to change, is so important for me. That really does give a more wholesome feeling of balance and integration.
And to remember that everybody it is a creator. We
Mhm.
are creating a reality. Whatever we experience, if you don't like it, question yourself. What would I like to change from this? And why have I not changed it?
Yeah.
What things I have to change so I can achieve what I really want? And to deserve that. Don't believe in anyone to tell you, oh, you don't deserve that. I don't care what you have done in the past. You need to learn to forgive yourself. Learn from that mistake so you don't repeat it.
Mhm.
But forgive yourself. You acted with information that you had in that time.
Yeah.
I'm not the same person that when I was 5, 10, when I'm 50. Neither you.
I'm not the
So,
same person as last week. So
yes, exactly. And I don't know who I'm going to be the next week.
that's right. That's right. Do you have a favorite client story?
Huh. I have so many. That's what I was thinking
I
right now.
know it's hard to choose
Just
sometimes. Yeah.
choose because I have seen people just change so much and have released so much fears
Mhm.
or beliefs that they were stuck in there, and now they're channelers and now they're having a huge business. I come people like, I don't know what I want in my life or what I should be doing. And we
Right.
start working in from there. And now they're having their own business. Some of them they're in geology, some of them they are working, they're public speakers, they're working in I can met them in fact in Harvard. And it's like, or people that really do not believe in who that they deserve even to be loved, and now they're married
Yeah.
and living the love of the with the love of the life.
Yeah.
So I have seen so many changes in people
Mm.
every time that I have worked with them. That's why I continue doing this, because I love to see those success stories that inspire me so much that I want to continue doing this for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so rewarding. Absolutely. So rewarding to be able to give back in that capacity and to see that just that little bit of time, that little bit of effort really changed multiple lives, because it's not just the life of the client that changes, it's also everyone who relates to them and is connected to them notices and feels that difference too. And that ripple continues to flow outward. It's so
Yes,
beautiful. Yeah.
yes, it is.
Hmm. Well, a little bit of validation. You gave me an Akashic record reading a little while ago, and you talked about my spouse and his abilities. And, and I wanted to tell you this because I know you're going to laugh. Um, we sat down later that week, and he said, "Oh, there's this movie I've been wanting to watch." Monica, you can't make this stuff up. We sit down to watch this movie. The whole movie is about remote viewing. And it's a bunch of military men who are having this experience. I can't even recall the title. It's just, I can't believe it. To watch him unfold in that way, kind of as you predicted, was just the funniest thing. And Sophie is actually going to look more into remote viewing and see if it's for him. But I do believe that it does fit his logical nature more.
It is. It is. It is very hard for the logical
Yeah,
minds because they're not connected with the emotional part.
yeah,
And the changes that I have seen with the people is when they connect both of them.
yeah.
The emotional part is more important sometimes than even the heart, even the brain. And but there are different techniques and modalities like remote viewing that it goes with the logical
Hmm.
because you have proof immediately.
It's just funny after 15 years together to see him spiritually awakening, and now he's doing things like making his own butter, he's making his own cheese. He doesn't want to buy just anything anymore because now he's got that awareness. So it's wild to be witnessing that change for him and that you were able to pick up on it in the reading. So that was amazing. And then you had also said that the Kundalini Reiki was going to be a way for me to balance out my energy, and that worked out to be very true. And I did actually resolve the knee pain as well. I had a soul centered healing hypnosis session, which is kind of like QHHT, but we do spirit releasement first. Knee pain gone. It was energy that I'd picked up off a client because I was so invested in wanting them to do well. But as we kind of figured out, it was resolved. Yeah.
You know what is the funny part when you're trans channeling?
Yeah.
That you're there in your body, but in reality, the one is talking through you. It is
Yeah.
your higher self or whoever you open yourself to.
Yeah.
But you will not remember. You will
Yeah.
not remember what you said.
I remember. So I
But in your
always remember. And sometimes I can hear the ego in the back saying, "Oh, this is, I don't like this." But, they're at that higher consciousness. It brings through insights and things that we didn't know consciously. So with the whole knee pain thing, one of my favorite stories about QHHT was one of the first times that I received a session. I'd ask the practitioner to tell me about, ask questions about my knees. I'm having some problems, some inflammation right now, both sides. It's very painful. We get to the higher self, and this wasn't someone who had the same degree of training as I or as you. And so she didn't really advocate well. She asked the question and she kind of left it there. And the funniest thing was, just feeling higher self come through. I felt the need to like a teenager roll my eyes and like this long exasperated sigh of she has to give up soft cheeses. I was so mad. I could hear my ego saying, "This is bullshit. I'm not giving up soft cheese. It's like the one thing I get to enjoy. I don't do sugar. I don't have carbs. Leave me alone with my cheese, okay?" So I can hear like the ego mind just so mad. But that higher self knew. And so anyway, I left that session. The practitioner didn't ask additional questions of what's happening with soft cheese. Is there a gut imbalance? Are there enzymes needed? Can something heal this? Can we heal this today? Can we heal this now? So a well practitioner is going to advocate for you. They're going to ask those questions and get to the bottom of what is actually happening. In any case, at the end of that session, I wasn't thrilled, but I did still have some other good learning experiences. And so I kind of left with that. And I went home and I continued eating soft cheese. I didn't listen to higher self's advice and I continued on that path. And about 2 weeks later, I was in agony. I couldn't walk. I couldn't bend. The pain was so bad that I was starting to think of literally anything that I could do to change it. And then that little voice came through of, why don't you just try what came through? What if that voice that came through with the, oh, she needs to stop eating soft cheeses? What if I need to just try that? And the pain was so bad that I would have tried anything at that point. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to stop eating soft cheese and see what happens. It took about a week and a half. I stopped eating soft cheese. The pain was gone. And it's like, well, unbelievable. So even though there was that ego part that was angry and saying, this isn't about cheese, this is garbage, it was wrong. And that higher self part that came through, it knew something about me consciously that I didn't know about my own body. And even though ego was mad, it was valid. There was truth to it, and that is really what's powerful about working with the higher self. It's when we can learn to identify what it feels like, get those insights, and then test them out. You don't have to believe it's all true. Test it. Try it. What about for you, Monica? What are some of the higher self
Um,
lessons you've learned that you'd like to share?
in believing in myself, that was a big one for me. That was a big help for myself because I really did not believe enough in me. And, or even that I can be an artist. Let's put it like that. I go back to the time of the as an artist. Like when I start painting, and I already have art exhibits in galleries and so forth, and people ask me, "What do you do?" Oh, I kind of paint, you know. And it took a lot from me. And my ego was like, "No, you're not an artist. You're not nothing. You're not, and continue gaslighting me." And I was getting more art exhibits and more art exhibits. Until one day, actually, my higher self sit down with me and tell me, how many art exhibits do you want to have? You're already exhibiting internationally, so you can say you are an artist because that's who you are. And I start thinking, it's like, okay, I have my higher self on one side telling me this, and I have my ego in the other side. Who's gonna take me forward?
Yeah.
So, like, oh, okay, I need to drop the ego because it's not gonna take me anywhere. I already having success, and it doesn't matter how many times I have to prove myself. It is not gonna be enough for the ego.
Yeah.
So in that moment, I start calling myself. At the beginning, it wasn't comfortable. Say it out loud. I am an artist. But later on, we become more comfortable, more comfortable, more comfortable. That's one of that's part of who I am as a coach, as a healer. It took me to the same process. And they go, no, who do you think you are? It took me to the same process, but everything that I want to achieve or I become, how many certifications you can have or you
Yeah.
wanted to have. It's like your ego is always going to tell you, oh, that's not enough. That's not enough. One thing is it takes you the curiosity. Do I want to learn more? I want to learn how to do that.
Mhm.
And another part it is that your ego is like, you're not enough. That is different. Like for me, I'm right now I'm taking a class of herbalistic and also shaman. And that was because of curiosity. Then it was not because I don't feel good enough.
Yeah.
That is very different points of views. And
Mm.
part of being alive is being curious.
Sometimes we just need the vibration of something. It's not that we need to improve on that level. Like when I did Kundalini Reiki, it wasn't to step out in the world with that whole other modality. It's just, nope, something about that needed to integrate it in. I needed that vibration that I didn't currently have. It's the experience, it's the connections, it's a lot. It doesn't have to be from a place of, oh, I'm not enough, or any of those beliefs. And it just becomes playtime. It's just, oh, how can I engage and make something today? Yeah.
That's part of the higher self. It's gonna make you feel happy, make you feel alive. It is like, oh, there's a new adventure. It's something like that. That's what is the higher self precisely.
Yeah.
And the ego is gonna make you feel very uncomfortable.
Right.
So you choose.
Oh,
What do you want to experience?
that's right. That's right. Well, thank you so much for coming on. If there's anything you want someone who's listened to this today to hear, what's something you'd like them to leave with?
I want you to understand that they are worthy. Every single human being, it is worthy. They have make us think in all the programming that not believe in yourselves and that you're not. And that is not true. You're worthy. Just you need to learn to love yourself and forgive whatever mistakes you have done in the past. That's not you. Those were just lessons that you were needing to pass to learn through them. It's like math. You might not need any more algebra again in your life, or you don't use it. But at least you know that you are not going to need it. But forgive yourself for those mistakes. You don't need to carry them. You can do even Honopono to yourself that it is, I love you. Please forgive me. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. And do that not only to others, do it to yourself.
Yeah.
That is the more important one. Because we choose the life that we're living right now.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure. And you have a podcast as well. Did you want to give it a shout out?
Yes, it's called Soul Talk. It comes out every Monday. You can find it in YouTube or you can find it also in Captivate. That it is in Apple and it is in different listen podcasts too.
Okay. All right. Soulful Seekers, thanks for tuning in. I will provide all of the links that I can find for Monica's services, whether you want to take her larger coaching program or you want to explore learning how to channel. I'll make those links available for you. And just keep living, keep feeling inspired, keep exploring, having fun, but most of all, keep healing. All right. Bye for now. Bright blessings, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this transformative episode of Trauma and Transcendence. Your stories matter. I would love to hear them and from you. Connect on our website, healingbeyondtrauma.com, or drop me an email at amanda@healingbeyondtrauma.com. Remember, healing is a journey we take together. Until next time, stay connected, stay inspired. This is Amanda, wishing you bright blessings.